used to be, you'd have like a blackboard, and then it went whiteboard.
Yeah.
But now the big thing is like the glass board. Say we're coming up with a plan.
Yeah.
You get your markers and you write on the glass.
That's so stupid. I mean, honestly.
So we shouldn't have that?
There's that personality. There's the people who are like, nah, just throw it in the garage, whatever.
No.
I'll find it when I need it.
No, these people are garbage.
You're not getting an argument from me.
Head of the driver hits the ground about 11 inches in back of the ball. Head of the driver goes flying about 30 to 40 yards.
Yeah.
Ball remains on tee.
Nothing more satisfying than playing golf.
Oh boy, the weather's getting nice. Time to go out and hit the old links.
Yeah, that was, I was excited because we talked about that in last week's episode. We even put it on the poll, which, we barely do. You got to work real hard to make it to one of our polls.
Yeah, exactly. This exclusive territory.
We are very discerning, and we'll give the update on that, Steve. Here, coming up later this episode, the poll results. Obviously, I know I keep them because I give the update. That's my job. I make the intro, I provide the yucks, and then I read the polls.
Read the polls, yeah. You're our, the show Guillermo.
Yep. And I don't want to spoil it, so I'll just say, Steve, that I was a bit let down.
Uh-oh.
I was a bit let down in our fan base.
What was the wording of the poll? Like, would you come to a...
Here, I have it right here. Would you participate in a Steve and Kyle golf outing over Labor Day weekend? Did you want to... it's a weird way to launch the show. It's not really our A-bit.
Look, we can do it. We can do it.
Do we want to get right into them right now and read the results?
They are... a lot of times, it falls by the wayside. We kind of squeeze it in at the end of the episode. Maybe we don't have enough time.
Right, and it's not fair... Well, one to us, but two to people who listen to not do them. If you're if you're willing to engage, even by clicking yes or no on social media, you're willing to be involved in this show and the ridiculous hijinks that ensue here. So,
in most cases, it's just click yes or no. In some cases, you're choosing between like idiots or dirt people. Or
celebrities and dumb. Usually, actually, now that I think about it, they usually always involve one option of dumb people.
Yeah, we don't have much. We don't really have much range when it comes to coming up with names.
Yeah,
coming up with poll options.
We've got a real well we go back to whenever we're thirsty.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Yes,
Steve?
No, dumb people.
Yeah.
Or wild card.
But in fairness, Steve. That well provides.
It does.
And it continues to provide. So the first poll last week, Steve, is 18 holes of golf too many. Stand by that. 54% of the audience said yes. Had a lot of questions regarding, do you mean mini golf?
Yeah, putt-putt. I saw that a few times.
Yeah. I will save the golf outing poll for the end. We'll come back to that. Who uses...
By the way, I can do 18. I can do 36 a putt-putt. Never gets old for me.
Oh, wow, you could clear the 45 minutes from your schedule to do,
I love it, though. I know that it's for kids, but granted, I've played, I think, one time I remember going one time with a net. We were really bored one day. It was when we first started dating, and we're just sitting around like, what do you want to do? Let's go play mini golf. Okay. So we went to the place. We flew through 18 holes of mini golf, like you said, in maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Got a slice of pizza. I think we were in the car 45 minutes after we pulled up.
Yeah, you guys are so bored, you burned less than 1 hour.
I know.
Including drive time.
Like, it would have been better to dig out a board game or a puzzle.
You would have been better off, Steve, at that point, driving to the mall before planning, looking at the listings of movies, deciding no thank you,
nah,
and then driving home. It would have eaten up more of your time where you were bored.
Absolutely.
Than that. Who uses a glass board? You heard it there in the intro.
I saw that earlier this week. I was just scrolling through our one of our social medias, and I'm like, what the hell is a glass board? I could not remember at all what the context of that was until that intro played.
Right.
The glass board is like we said, the new blackboard, the new whiteboard. It's now the glass board. What do you think it's going to go back to? What's next?
We'll find out the glass board causes carbon monoxide in the ozone, and we'll be back to chalkboards.
Okay.
It's only logical to start the entire circle again. I mean, you can't jump
so you think we're going full circle back?
I think you're going full circle. We go back to chalk until 10 years later people are, find out chalk is killing kids.
By the way.
And then we go to dry erase.
All right, so when you were in school, because we're not that far, we're not our ages aren't that different. You had blackboards, right? It wasn't all whiteboards?
Right, so I had blackboards early.
Probably elementary school, maybe middle school?
No, not middle school. It was like mid-elementary when it all started to transition. I remember in third grade I moved, and I moved. Listen, it was like 8 miles. Like I didn't move very far, but obviously I moved school districts with that move. And the school district I lived.
Boy, that was if we were still doing the throaty 2.
Oh God!
Figures the year that we didn't do it, all sports are canceled. We would have been on Sports Center every day.
We would have been the leaders. This would have finally gotten us paid.
It would have. Oh, man.
But you know what? The joy that overcame me the day we decided to not do it. Because it was just too much work. It was stupid. It was just too much work.
Man, that first year, fantastic results. Mm-hmm. Did we do it just 2 years?
It was just 2 years. The second year, we switched the polling, and it didn't pan out as whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
The juice wasn't worth the squeeze, is what a lot of people say, Steve.
But we
digress. And I moved, and the school district I moved from had whiteboards. And I obviously I don't remember. This was, almost 30 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And they just transitioned relatively recently. It's not like I remember whiteboards from when I was a kindergartner until I moved in third grade. But I remember I moved from there to where the district I'm in now. And it was still blackboards. And I remember my first thought going like, oh, God, what did I walk into
Moved into the poverty district.
The poor people area. Great. Everybody's probably going to stink and carry around chalk for whenever they need to write on the chalkboard. Oh, good. They probably got duct tape on their shoes.
Do you remember, though, the joy of being the one? This is back in the blackboard days. We're dating ourselves a bit here.
I already know where you're going.
You know where I'm going, huh?
Yeah.
Do you remember the joy of being the one selected to use the wet sponge, like at the end of the week? Because usually Monday through Thursday, the teacher would just use the eraser.
Yep.
And every now and then you'd get to be eraser slapper kid who got to go outside and bang the erasers out.
Which honestly, again, we'll probably find out that chalk had lead in it.
Absolutely.
And it was just going straight into your nose.
But being selected, the kid who got to go up there with the sponge at the end of the week and wipe that board clean, even then I remember like the satisfaction that I would get at seeing that board completely clean.
Because it would become that nearly black, kind of glossy look while it was still wet. And just watching every square inch of it be that beautiful sheen.
Yeah. And then it would slowly dry, so it would look kind of like camo for a little bit, and then poof. But then there was always the garbage kid that would go up. He'd get selected to be blackboard cleaner guy, and he'd go up, and he wouldn't just start in the top corner and go straight across and then down and then straight. He'd be the animal that would just grab the sponge and go all crazy. No rhyme or reason, no pattern to it.
Right, and you know where those people live now. Those are the people parking in their driveways.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a direct correlation A to B. If you were that kid who's just willy-nilly wiping down the blackboard, you are now that person who has piled high in your garage stuff that you can't park there.
That's got to be first on the poll this week.
Already posted, Steve. Is there anything more satisfying than wet wiping a chalkboard at the end of a school week?
Follow up. Are yesterday's willy-nilly blackboard cleaners today's driveway parkers?
Think about how meta that is. It's one of the part of the poll is about a poll result from the week ago that we haven't even gotten to. We're really making it easy for people to jump on board for this podcast, though. Now, Steve, you said our
yesterday's willy-nilly,
quote, willy-nilly
blackboard cleaners. Today's,
there we go,
driveway parkers. There we go.
Both those are posted. Again, these are all posted at Steve and Kyle, Facebook and Twitter. Love to see the interaction, people voting and commenting. I love it. Listen, if you have a strong opinion one way or another, there's nothing wrong with commenting on these and explaining yourself.
Yeah. You don't have to just be a silent voter.
Yeah, and again, we'll make fun of you if need be. 60% of the audience, though, Steve, said idiots are using a glass board. 40% said dumb people. So, again, we were thirsty. You and I, we walked over to the well that always provides.
Yep.
Got ourselves a glass of water with that.
That's right.
With those answers. Another important one. We're going to have to use this going forward, Steve. What are Frisbee people referred to as?
Was it Frizzos?
Frizzers and Frisbos.
Frizzers and Frisbos, okay.
76% of the audience, a resounding percentage, said Frisbos, Steve. And I think, in fairness, our friend Jeremy Koss posted, Frizzers is too close to that chicken place in Van Wert.
Yeah.
I cannot, in good faith, vote for that one. Next up is standing at the end of your driveway talking to a neighbor for 45 minutes. Too long.
Boy, not long enough for me.
62% of the audience, Steve, said yes. Again, that should be leaps and bounds higher. Like, I can see how it would happen if you're having a property line dispute. But shooting the breeze about your life at the end of the driveway. Good God. Come in, sit down, or separate.
I love it. Bring it on. Bring it on, neighbors.
Can hay bales go bad? I don't... You could pay me... You could put a check in front of me right now for $100,000 and say, explain the context of that, and I would have to rip it up and throw it away because I don't have an answer for you. I have no answer for you, Steve. 81% of the audience said yes, and that this goes along with you and I. We are not exactly known as real farmer folk.
Okay, so hay bales can go bad.
They can go bad.
Well, according to the poll results at Steve and Kyle.
Sure, which is scientific, as we all know. Is driveway parking acceptable if you have a garage? Now, Steve, this is big for us, and so there's two big poll results, and two are going to disappoint you to your core.
Again, another poll, another discussion about a garage on this podcast.
We're really honing in on
I
that.
think I need to, when I upload the podcast each week, you know how we can put in keywords.
Just put garage.
I need to start putting garage in there.
And dumb people.
Yeah.
Because that's in almost every one of our weeks of polls where we have a question about dumb people. Steve, this one's going to hurt.
Oh, boy.
79% of the audience says yes, driveway parking is acceptable if you have a garage. Now, listen.
Oh, good. That's good.
Disagree. I thought you were in garbage people camp, that if you park in the driveway if you have a garage, you're a garbage person.
Boy, now I don't remember what my stance was on this. No, because this is something that Annette and I have always disagreed on. She hates when people park in their driveway. And I'm like, I don't know, I think it's pretty normal to park in your driveway. That's what it's for. That's
right, yeah, because you're an East Coast scumbag. That's right. I remember that. I apologize. I mean, no offense. But, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, listen, big surprise. The audience voted against Kyle. These are almost like not even remotely surprising anymore. But the one, Steve, that I wanted to come back to, the one that we're going to finish with this week, is the one we kind of teased at the start. You heard it in the intro there, talking about golf. Would you participate in a Steve and Kyle golf outing over Labor Day weekend?
Are we going to do scramble format?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really know what that means. I'm not sure why I even asked that. Foursomes. Oh, and you play the best ball?
Foursomes, you'd play the best ball of all four of you. Then you'd all four hit that location. You'd play the best spot from that.
So basically, we would never play my ball.
Or mine.
Maybe a putt or two.
Need a couple ringers on our hand is what you and I need.
Yeah. Socially distanced, of course. Although it doesn't seem like nobody cares about that anymore.
No, it's September.
Coronavirus is gone.
Yeah, it's September. It'll be fine.
Nothing is happening.
Steve, 56% of the audience said yes. That one stung.
All right.
I mean, it's a majority.
We're in the, we're winning.
Yeah, but if we were looking for a reason to do something, 56% from support from people who listen to this podcast are going, sure. Well, the others are outright saying no.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to get the attendance that we're so looking for.
Give it another month. Sure. I bet those numbers go up. People are going to really start getting bored, not being out of the house at all.
You think we should do you think, now again, this would be a tested out thing. Should we make a Facebook event for this and see the type of response we get?
Not yet. Let's hold off on that just a little while.
Okay. Again, we're talking Labor Day weekend, probably the Sunday before Labor Day.
We've already had to talk about postponing one event.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to talk about postponing.
Well, that's a month away, huh? We should get on planning that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. A lot of guests and a lot of surprises.
Uh-huh.
And giveaways.
Yeah.
Just weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Steve. Just a few weeks away and days away now.
It is Sunday, June 7th, 2020, the year of our Lord. It's the Steve and Kyle podcast.
This one's for the road.
Podcasting once again from APS 3.2, otherwise known as the sunroom at my house, distanced, I'd say, 11 feet apart.
Yeah, we wrapping this up next week. You think you and I walk in, I'm kicking the front door in, we're having hugs, and we're going down, and we're sitting next to each other, maybe holding hands even.
I don't know about that.
We're really kicking the virus in the throat.
Next week, how would you feel about the return of the deck cast?
Let me stop you. Okay? Because
first of all, I'd like for you to explain your experience.
Precisely. Because 2 weeks in a row now, as a representative for the ADA, the American Disability Association.
I believe that's Americans with Disabilities Act.
Excuse you, I'm the spokesperson. I have been put in compromised positions.
Look, this is a private dwelling. I do not have to live up to your standards.
I thought last week would be the largest indignity I suffered here. Again, as a spokesperson, as a former cripple.
I don't know if they would. That's how they.
How dare you take our word from us? And then I walk in.
Sorry, was that cripple-splaining to you?
And I walked in this week. And that indignity was surpassed.
Maybe you should read the text that I had to send you last night.
Yeah,
to prepare you for.
Now we talked about this. I mean, we don't want to cut any corners here. We talked about it at length last week, Steve. You demolished your old deck.
Mm-hmm.
This has been in the cards, though. You've wanted to do this since you moved in.
Yeah.
And so, of course, why would it not happen during the year of no projects at the Steve household?
The year of no projects was put on hold quickly when a pandemic hit, and we had nothing to do and nowhere to go and nothing but time.
So you demolished your old deck, and it wasn't safe. You talked about how easy the support beams came out. And
I grabbed onto them and just lifted them out of the ground.
And again, if you're tuning in, that is on the poll, was the, quote, year of no projects, an abject failure.
Some would say failure. Some would say success.
Using this wording, I don't know how you could say it was a success.
Well, I mean, the results speak for themselves.
Yep, and boy, it's a real nail biter here. I'm sure it'll be real close. This was last night, Steve.
Wait a minute. I just refreshed and I saw,
what
is Steve East Coast scum?
Oh, hang on. Has our Facebook been hacked?
Boy, that seems just posted by Kyle or published by Kyle.
No.
Boy, it must be your Facebook.
My personal Facebook's been hacked.
Got hacked.
I forgot. Accident.
That's the excuse, huh? One word, accident.
Oops.
Oops, accident.
2 words.
Much better.
2 words. You're welcome. So last night you sent me a text, Steve. And again, that has to do with your acquiescence to parking in the driveway and loading your garage with garbage because you're East Coast scum.
So are you admitting to?
What?
Okay.
You might cut out. Last night, a little after dinner time, and usually, listen, you and I aren't known for our planning for this podcast.
No.
I still don't know if people believe us when we say how little planning we actually do for this show.
I don't know.
And
just listen. If you just listen, it should be obvious.
So last night you send me a text, and it's somewhat out of the blue. You'd asked about what time. I said, "Yep, that's the time." You followed up a few minutes later, though, with, "So, are you good at the balance beam?" Now, I texted you when did we recorded last Saturday, right?
Yeah. No, it was last Sunday.
Was it last Sunday? Whatever. It doesn't matter. And upon leaving, later that night, I had sent you a text like, "Hey, what's the progress?" And now you never sent me a progress pic, so I didn't know what it looked like. You simply sent me a picture of you being the garbage neighbor.
Parking in the driveway.
With
a rusty trailer.
With a big old rusty trailer that you can hear from like 2 streets down, because every time you hit, not a pothole, not a manhole cover, but like a twig, it goes and just bounces like 3 feet in the air.
It's pretty accurate.
So I didn't know how far you had gotten last week. And D.I. Kyle hasn't exactly replaced an entire deck. I didn't know if it's going to be a one. Nobody says
Kyle.
that. Nobody would say that.
People say that. Scum Steve says that.
Okay, Philip. It's the new PBS show. It's Dick Kyle and Scum Steve. Fixer-uppers.
Oh, man. I picture it like me holding a hammer right over your head as you, unbeknownst, like stand there like,
Well, so it's almost like a buddy cop comedy, because I feel like it's me with a wrench around a nail into a board that's been put into my foot. And you're just standing off to the side, with your tool belt with properly arranged stuff. Just
right, whereas your tool belt has like salad tongs.
Yeah.
Like a baseball bat.
And your arms are crossed, and it looks like you're shaking your head with disapproval. But for whatever reason, it's the middle of the day, yet you have to have your coal miner's headlamp on. And it's, again, Dick Kyle and Scum Steve, and that's what it takes for me to get top billing nowadays. Dick Kyle and Scum Steve Fixer-uppers. And the logo's got our names kind of off to the side, and it's got like, remember the Full House intro?
Yeah.
Where it's got like the roof over our name, but ours is crooked with a chimney that's cracked.
Right. Like a bird's nest stuck in one of the gutters or something.
There's a lot going on in terms of this design, but boy, oh boy, would we be a great DIY show. Ooh.
I love the idea that your tool belt is basically a child's tool belt.
Yeah.
That has like a plastic hammer, but it also has things that are in no way construction related.
Right.
I.e. salad tongs and a baseball bat.
Yeah, and again, I'm pulling a nail out of a piece of wood that's into my foot with a wrench. And in the other hand, Philip, and I know this feels minute and like it's just extra work for you, but on the other hand, I have a hoagie.
Okay. So you're really concerned about this board that's in your foot.
Yep.
Not concerned enough to put down lunch.
No. The hoagie has a bite out of it. I want it to be known I am eating while digging the board out of my foot with a wrench.
Okay, good.
You got all that?
Still waiting for Stephen Kyle's nature camp, by the way. I think this one may be more complex than that one.
These two, the nature camp and this.
Oh, nature camp, man, that's still going to be so nice.
They go
the view through the binoculars.
So many good ideas. All right, so again, you said, so are you good at the balance beam?
Yeah, but we digress.
And I didn't even... We're to the point now where I'm going like... in our friendship, I'm not saying, well, why do you ask?
Right. Yeah, you just go with it.
I know that, obviously, whatever. It's not worth the time. My only reply to you, oh, God. You followed up. That skill might come in handy when getting into the sunroom. Now, honestly, I walked in here today thinking that maybe, I don't know about exaggeration, but, I'd kind of forgotten the layout of the deck. Mm-hmm. In my mind, it was going to be walk up or pull myself up on one beam in front of the door and walk in.
Yeah, not so much.
When I saw what I was walking into, I, at the very least, Steve, thought you might have a pathway of these beams ready.
No.
And willing and able. No, it's literally... so luckily for me, the beams were a wide... I was able to walk on multiple beams. I'm trying to figure out how to describe
There's 16 inches on center right there.
But instead of me having to traverse one long beam, I was
able
to
walk across the beams.
Which honestly made it easier. Walking down one beam would be so intimidating. Laptop in one arm, drink in the other.
As I'm laughing at you.
As you're just staring, not willing to take either thing in my hand.
And Toby is jumping up and sniffing your feet.
Yeah, and the way I described it as I was walking in was very reminiscent of the dumb person's American Ninja Warrior.
Right. That's a great description.
So...
maybe I'll shoot a video as you're leaving.
Yeah, of me, how me leaving will be the disaster. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be like, no, this is fine now. And the next thing you know, it's going to be like America's Funniest Home Video with a boing as I fall on my groin and slowly turn the camera. So, yeah, the deck got demolished. The frame was built, it looks like a week ago, completely, right? Now, how long did this thing take you last Saturday, Steve, from start to finish?
Actually, it was Sunday that we worked on it.
We recorded Saturday. You had to get material Saturday.
Yes.
You didn't start building it till Sunday, correct?
Yeah, it was...
glad we got that minutia figured out.
Yeah, boy. I mean, people were just clamoring with that info.
It's very reminiscent, and I think this ages us a little bit when we realize that. I think it happens in your parents' generation a lot and that older group where for some reason it's very important to get dates and years right that are minuscule, right?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
You could be listening to a story from it doesn't matter who, and it'll be in the middle that was 1986.
Was it?
He was 87.
Well, Dolores was born in 85. And, geez.
I forget. Was Reagan during his re-election thing? Let me look. Let me think about this for a minute.
And then the detail is revealed that has no bearing. That was the year we painted the house blue.
Yeah, but anyway, we changed the color, and it went smooth. But it's very reminiscent of that. I want to make us both self-aware when we do that.
Yeah, very well aware.
We are aging ourselves, and we should stop. So Sunday came. You had a couple of mercenaries come in. You called in the out-of-staters.
I did.
Called in the Michigan militia of handymen.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
To come help you out.
They got here around 10. By the time we got going, because we had to do a bunch of measurements first, a lot of prep stuff.
Sure.
Had to dig out a bunch of the holes a little bit deeper. But I would say, I think they left around 5, maybe.
Okay.
And everything was...
a full day, though. I mean...
Full day, yeah. Yeah, there was at least an hour of just standing around staring at the deck because something was out of whack and we couldn't figure out what it was.
Sure.
We finally figured out that it was... the deck was perfectly square. The house was not square. So the house was out of square by about 2 inches. So we're like, what the hell is going on? Why, doing all these measurements, can't figure it out. Finally, we realized the house is crooked. So we had to build the deck to fit the crooked house.
Oh, okay. So you didn't counteract by making just a...
crooked deck?
Straight, yeah. Well, it would be a straight deck.
Yeah, I guess depending on how you look at it, one end of the deck is perfectly straight, but the opposite end had to be a little sideways to match the house, or else there would have been gaps. So
sure.
Regardless, it looks perfectly fine. It's everything is ready to go. The only thing that, like today, you see that all the deck boards are laid out, just ready to be put down.
And that's it. Well, railing and stuff, but that's going to be... Are you doing that on your own? Or
yeah,
is that
the
part
railing.
Of today?
The railings. I know this may come as a surprise to you.
Oh God!
But this whole project, Kyle, not without incident from a major big box store.
Oh wow! So now is this an incident because it's no real DIY project unless you have to make a second trip?
Second, I would have been thrilled with a second trip.
Oh no! Now I know the big box store that you got your first drop off from. Can we place fault at their feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
So you're fair. So that's a fair point. Now you said more than 2 trips, though. Can we blame the fact that it wasn't just 2 trips on you, or still on the big box store?
No, I think still. One of them I kind of had planned. I knew I was going to have to go back over at some point.
Sure.
So that wasn't a big deal. But yeah, so we ordered. We went onto this company's website, and they have a deck designer program, and you design it, and you tell it how tall and how wide and where it's going to go on your house, and you basically hit buy, and it spits out a list of every board, every bracket, every nail, every screw.
Isn't that incredible?
Everything that you need, and then a couple weeks later, it shows up at my house on a big ass pallet. So it got dropped off last Saturday. We hauled it all into the backyard. And so the guys got here on Sunday morning, and one of them is a contractor, which is phenomenal. So he's looking at the plans, and he's like, huh.
Oh, boy. That's never a good thing. If looking at the plans takes, more than a few minutes for that guy, you're starting to maybe wander over with your tool belt on, and you're going, hey, everything look good?
Yeah, I got my tool belt on. Similar to you, mine has like a Coca-Cola in one side of it, maybe a Slim Jim in the other side, because, I felt like an assistant the whole time. But he looks at it and he's like, I mean, we could build it like this, but this is not normally how we build them. And I was like, all right, let's build it the way you build it. So constructed the whole thing, and I had a ton of leftover parts, but I also was short all of my railings and everything. So
oh boy,
got on the phone. This was going back to Saturday. So
with the computer program?
Yeah. I called Bot 2.0 or whatever.
Hey, listen here. You're going to get a piece of my mind whether you like it or not. Don't interrupt me, beep boops.
So, but on Saturday, while I'm carrying all the wood into the backyard, I said to Annette, I was like, hey, can you just call and tell them that, like, these 6 items on the list, it says this is on your delivery. It was not on the delivery. So she calls them. Their response to her is, yeah, it's weird. Well, it'll probably be on the next delivery. And she's like, you're not really instilling a lot of confidence in me by saying it'll probably be on the next delivery.
Yeah, and hang on, did I miss the note there where you knew you were getting multiple deliveries?
No, there was one delivery scheduled.
Okay, I think that's an important point to note. You ordered every item, presuming every item would be on your delivery of items.
Paid for it all.
And nowhere did it give you like, you can get this one Tuesday and that one Wednesday, and because you and I both know, because we're Amazon pros, that if they give you that option, well, do you want to wait 2 days and ship it in separate boxes? No, you get it to me the instant it's possible, and you'd get two pieces of tracking, you'd get multiple things about shipping and estimated dates. That didn't happen.
No. So I got on the phone with them, and they were just giving me the runaround. Because the main issue was there were 10 posts, like the railing posts, that go all around the perimeter of the deck, and then the railing attaches to that. Those had been, I guess, special ordered. That was the main thing that wasn't on the delivery. They, for whatever reason, arrived at the store, didn't make it on the truck. So when I called, I was like, can you just tell me if they're at the store? Because if they are, I'll come over and pick them up right now, even though I paid for shipping whatever. I'll pick them up now. We'll figure out the delivery charge later. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, okay, I'm going to pull the whole order right now and I'll call you back. Never called me back. Sunday came, never called me back. I called them, got the runaround phone tree, dial 1 for blah, blah, blah. Finally, it took until, I think, Wednesday before somebody actually called me and said, hey, we have this open ticket here. What's going on? So I had to explain the whole situation again. Didn't hear back from them that day. Thursday came. I finally got somebody really good on the phone. He was like, all right, I'm going to figure this out for you. He found I had said to him, I was like, look, man, I'm on your website right now. It shows that your store in Mishawaka or whatever has 25 of them. Can you just get them from there? And he's like,
call Mishawaka right now. Get those things on the next truck.
He said, yeah, we can do that. No problem.
Why is it you solving that problem?
I have to tell you this? But whatever. He was a super nice guy. He ended up delivering a bunch of the stuff that day to the house, like a bunch of other things that were on the list. So he was super nice. We're still just waiting on a couple of railings that are posts that'll hopefully be here tomorrow or Tuesday. But that is, like I said, we've talked at great length on this podcast about how neither of us can do anything that requires assistance from outside forces that doesn't just go smoothly.
It refuses to go smoothly. Whether it's small or big, and this one feels big, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I guess I would... Would you, Steve, rather have it be a big incident like this, or would you rather have it be like man, I ran out, I'm 5 screws short?
5 screws short, because I can run over to the store, pick up more screws, and come back.
Right, but
this scenario I have no control over.
Sure.
Because the parts that I need are not here. They had gotten the parts in, they forgot to put them on the truck, and then they sold them to somebody else. So they've already made money off of those things 2 times, and I still don't have them. And that's what I had to explain to him. I was like, look, man, that's the most frustrating thing. I don't need those posts right now, but I already paid for them, and then you went and turned around and sold them to somebody else. And he's like, I get it. I totally get it. So thank you, Nick, for making things right.
Oh, man. Does that ruin the project for you a little bit? Because in your mind, you're like, hey, I got it all. I'm cruising. Well, I mean, again, it didn't really hinder your time frame. Because that wasn't going to happen last week anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't need them last week, but it would have been really helpful to have them today. Because those boards are going to go on very quickly. We're going to have a deck surface to stand on. And then the next thing is putting up railings. So a little frustrating that I don't have it all, but what can you do?
So you think in 1 week from this very minute, you and I could be doing deck cast on, Deck Studio 2.0.
Yeah, I definitely think we will. The only thing, the end that you are sitting on right now, those 2 pieces of railing, I know will not be up because from the beginning, I knew that they were special order and I wasn't going to have them until July. So there's still a couple more weeks before I get those in.
So I just had to make sure if I'm sitting on this side to not be outraged enough to fly backwards in a fury.
Yeah, don't fly back. Yeah, maybe we'll seat you on a different side. So there's
asking quite a bit there, sir.
But yeah, we're getting there. We're slowly getting there. If you're like me, nothing can ever go fast enough when you're working on a project. Like, I'm excited about it. I want to see the end result. I just want to see it all done. So, I was out there yesterday putting in a bunch of screws and bolts to tighten everything up and make it all nice and secure. And, man, I am excited. Are you as excited as I am?
Well, let me rip the Band-Aid off, Steve.
You got to at least be excited about DeckCast.
I don't like the heat.
Yeah, boy, sure is freezing right now.
Ugh.
It's 62 degrees.
I'm already envisioning my sweat.
Okay. Maybe we'll get one of those, like a little mister that they have like on the sidelines of a football game.
I hear that'll work great with electronics.
The fan It just blows water on you.
Yeah, and then so we'll tarp over all of the equipment so it doesn't damage it. No, that's great. Again, let me do it, Steve, because I already know somewhere in that sick, twisted mind of yours, it's churning. What's the next project? In the year of no projects.
The year of no projects. No, I think this is it for the year of no projects.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Well, the year of no projects is almost up. I mean, we're at like 9 months at this point almost.
Right.
So really, if I can just hold out for another 3 months, we'll be good.
What do you've been walking around though? You've been maybe looking at something.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
You know, like, yeah.
We got a big rebate coming from the store for all of the deck. The deck purchase, we did it during their. Not trying to give away the which store we went to, but frequently they have an 11% rebate sale.
Steve, I hear frequently you can get discounts between 10 and 12%
exactly
on your purchases.
My apologies. Anywhere between 10 and 12%. They will send you a rebate for 11 or between 10 and 12% of your purchase price.
Thank you, Steve.
Obviously must be used in their store, but we go to their store often, so it's free money.
I just feel like I could see in a week, say, hey, this time tomorrow, do you say, yeah, I need to be done by this time, though, because I've got a solar guy coming over. We're going to put solar on the house.
No solar. Not for lack of trying, though. I looked into it, and it just doesn't.
Is it prohibitive on cost?
I think we have too much tree cover, so I feel like solar probably wouldn't be too beneficial.
No, that's probably a wise decision. But they give you an analysis and everything, Steve.
That's
they
true,
tell you,
yeah.
would it be possible? Would it be worth it?
I know. You type in your address, and they pull up the map, and they tell you what the.
Here we go.
What the percentage is?
It says
Solar. Look, mark my words. Solar is not in the plans.
Put solar right next to the whole home generator.
That really fizzled.
Right, in terms of importance, you just whatever. Something will happen. You'll get one outrageous energy bill. That's it. Call them up. Get those panels on my. I don't even care about the forest. I'll chop that down, all of them. And I'll come in the next week, and you'll have panels everywhere.
Yeah, well, it could happen.
It's been a couple of weeks, Steve, and I wanted to talk about this because I think it's something. It's a little bit different that I've been doing. I talked about my comic book collection, but another thing that I've been not like an appointment or out of sheer boredom, but another thing during quarantine that I have started, and I've started this with a friend of mine separately, of course. He's at his dwelling, and I'm at mine. Once a week, we have decided to go back and revisit, to a degree, our youths.
Okay.
And the way we're doing this is we're watching a movie, the same movie, separate locations, from a certain year.
You start at the same time, like, all right, I'm hitting play right now. Okay.
No, it's not that formal. But we're picking movies that hold a certain reverence from our youths for that reason, right? When you're 8 and 9, things are a little bit more ooh and than they would be in your 20s and 30s.
Oh, yeah, when I was a kid, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze
still the greatest movie ever.
One of the greatest movies I've ever
still
seen.
Super Shredder. Unbelievable.
I'm sure if I watched it now, I would vomit at how bad it was. But
so we have decided to do this, but we didn't do this just, offhand. No, Steve. We each picked 5 movies that we remember, from that year.
Loving as a kid from that year. So from one specific year.
Well, no. But we're doing it. So from 1995 to 2005. So once a week.
Okay.
I am watching a movie. 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. We are all the way though. It's been on the list to talk about a little bit. This weekend, Steve, is 2002.
All right, for those who are not up on their movies from 2002, give me a quick slice of what life was like in 2002.
Well, I haven't watched it yet. That's on today's schedule. The movie we're watching today is the kind of forgettable in terms of war movies, Steve. The somewhat forgettable We Were Soldiers Vietnam-era war film starring Mel Gibson.
So obviously a takeoff of Band of Brothers or Saving Private Ryan type thing.
Right, but again...
Although, would that have been, timeline-wise, were those two movies already out? Probably not.
Band of Brothers may have been. I thought Band of Brothers was... I think Band of Brothers and The Sopranos were right around that time where HBO started getting all of this... these accolades, right? Because they're like, whoa, they're actually doing really, really good work.
Season 1 was in 2001 of Band of Brothers.
It was based on the book We Were Soldiers Once and Young, dramatizing the Battle of Ia or La Drang, so a battle in the Vietnam War. So
Saving Private Ryan was 98.
Yeah, I knew Saving Private Ryan was late 90s. So 1995 to 2005.
So what have you watched so far then?
So 1995 began the process, and I can't say I was excited for it because some of these I've looked at, and in fairness, I've dreaded.
It was like Get It On or something?
Oh, no.
The cheerleading movie?
Oh, no, Steve. 1995 brought the only appearance of Val Kilmer.
Oh, boy.
As Batman.
Oh, wow, yeah. Forgot that he was Batman.
In 1995's Batman Forever.
Mm-hmm. That is one of the few superhero movies that I can chalk up to saying, yeah, I've seen that. I remember I saw like the Michael Keaton Batman and the Val Kilmer Batman Forever. And then I think I saw Catwoman with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, that was, I think that was Batman Returns? I forget.
Yeah.
This thing was a gigantic turd. If you think your youth holds a little bit of fond memories of this thing, go ahead and give it a watch.
Man,
it is a pile of poo.
I am looking at movies that came out in 95, and I cannot believe that that's what you selected.
Okay.
You had Clueless, which not a huge fan of that movie, but it was a huge movie that year. Casino, Crimson Tide, Apollo 13. I remember The Net. I don't really remember. That was with... I don't remember. Billy Madison and Tommy Boy came out in 95.
Yeah.
Wow. Empire Records. 95 was a good year. Good year for movies.
But listen, when you're a child, when you're 8-year-old Kyle...
The Babysitters Club?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I can't believe that didn't make the cut. When you're 8-year-old Kyle, Batman fighting supervillains, Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Bridges of Madison County?
Boy, that was...
Mallrats. Oh, I love... Braveheart? Jeez. What did you do? Why did you pick such garbage? What was it called again?
Braveheart was 95.
Maybe it's just updating as I go. Braveheart. Yeah, and that Braveheart is a 1995 American epic historical fiction.
Okay. No, it was.
Yeah.
But that's also... I'm sorry, and I should have qualified this as well. We were also trying to pick movies we hadn't seen in at least 10 years.
Okay.
Because I didn't want a movie from my... So I'm like, I've seen The Sandlot recently. I loved The Sandlot as a kid, but I've also seen it recently. I've already had that formed opinion and been able to revisit it. So we were trying to keep that, in mind.
So have you already picked out all the movies?
Oh, yeah. The whole list is created. So the 1995 options were The Big Green, Jumanji, Batman Forever, Man of the House, and Mortal Kombat.
Man of the House. Was that like a goofy movie where like Arnold Schwarzenegger played a mom?
No. It was a comedy. It had Steve, it had Jonathan Taylor Thomas on it.
JTT.
Really? Chevy Chase, Farrah Fawcett, JTT. I forget the specifics about it. But yeah, I mean, it was that era where those people were massively famous.
So that has to be a wacky slapstick where, kind of like Home Alone, where mom and dad go away, so JTT is left to run the house.
No, I remember now. Chevy Chase.
What happens when the kid from Home Improvement has to make dinner?
No, the kid doesn't want Chevy Chase as a stepdad. Kind of puts him through the ringer.
Oh, okay. So lots of hijinks, maybe putting marbles on the steps or like hitting him with a hot poker or something.
So the choice that year was Batman Forever.
Okay.
And again, a pile of garbage.
Garbage. All right.
1996, Steve, the options. And I'll give you the options. I'll let you guess what we picked.
Mm-hmm.
The options were Twister, The Nutty Professor,
Oh, my God.
Eraser, Mission Impossible, First Kid.
First Kid.
First Kid was about, the being the president's child.
Oh, okay.
Comedy.
Gotcha.
Real hoot.
I'm going to say that you picked either Twister or Mission Impossible.
Twister, Steve.
Twister.
And I
yes.
can't tell you how a few weeks ago, how excited I was to watch Twister. Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton. I was so excited.
I do remember one scene in the movie. Well, of course, there's the infamous cows flying by scene.
Obviously.
But then there's the scene where they're like the Twister is coming. They're in that rickety barn. And do they like handcuff themselves to a post or something?
That's the end, Steve. They had to handcuff themselves to a pipe.
Spoiler alert.
In a barn to survive the F5 tornado they were chasing to get their device into the tornado that was going to give them all the tornado data.
But then some may say that the tornado started chasing them. Seemed to have a mind of its own, right? That was part of the movie. The tornado had
I don't think they
acquired like a self-being. It had become aware, like Skynet.
Huh.
Am I remembering that wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't there a device called like Trixie or something?
Yeah, what was it called?
Dolores.
That was the whole point of it, was they wanted to leave this device in the tornado so all of these little globes could be in the tornado and transmit data about the tornado back to their computer devices.
Surprisingly, the Google search, what was the Twister machine called, returned no results.
Oh my God. I almost feel like I should be on the poll. Do you remember what the Twister machine was called?
Put it on there.
My God. 1997, Steve.
I got
Give you
that.
The options.
Don't worry, I'll get this posted.
Okay, good.
What the Twister?
1997, Steve. Your options were Men in Black, Dante's Peak, Air Force One.
Dante's Peak, was that a volcano movie?
That was Pierce Brosnan trying to save the country from a volcano. Nobody believed him. Mimic and Liar Liar.
One more time. What were the first few again?
Men in Black and Dante's Peak.
Oh, it's got to be Men in Black.
Steve, we went with Dante's Peak.
Come on.
Back-to-back years.
What are you doing?
Back-to-back weeks, I watched Twister and Dante's Peak. I can't tell you how excited I was for both. A volcano epic? Those don't exist anymore.
You're right.
Have they made a volcano movie in the past since Dante's Peak in 1997 or 1998?
Yeah, there was the one where... Wait, is that the one where the volcano erupts in Los Angeles? What was that one called?
Are you thinking of like the earthquake one with the rock?
No.
San Andreas?
No, the earthquake erupted, and then it was like it had formed in Los Angeles, and then they had to like divert the lava into the culverts through Los Angeles, and then it was going.
That may have been the competing volcano film from 1997 titled Volcano.
Of course.
I believe that started Tommy Lee Jones.
It did. I remember an epic scene in the subway where the lava was coming towards him, and he had to like jump in to save a puppy or something, or a kid.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That is what happened. His character attempts to divert the path of a dangerous lava flow through the streets of L.A. following the formation of a volcano at the La Brea tar pits. The poster, boy, what an epic movie poster that is. The word volcano with a fountain of lava pouring up in the middle of L.A., just like a big spout, with the tagline on top, Steve. It's hotter than hell.
Boy.
So
they sure don't make them like they used to.
So we watched Dante's Peak. 1998 came, Steve, with The Truman Show, Ronin, The Faculty, Enemy of the State, and Urban Legend.
I love The Truman Show. Please tell me it's The Truman Show.
Truman Show is the runner-up, Steve.
Good morning, and if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I remember not liking it.
Really?
I was 11, though, and I'm like, what else? Like, oh, great, they're watching him. What a boring, you're expecting some big twist,
No, man, it's regular life.
We went with Ronin, Steve, and that was a Robert De Niro, I think Jean Reno, it's kind of like, it's a heist movie, but it's one of those first heist movies that really tried to incorporate like cool car chases and stuff like that.
Okay.
This thing sucks.
So these are all movies that you remember really liking.
Yeah, an 11-year-old me watching them, like, oh, cool car scenes, and oh man, they're stealing this thing. Like, it was really neat for that age. It sucked so bad.
By the way, early results in, 66.7% of people say yes, they do remember the name of the Twister machine in Twister.
I almost don't believe him. 1999, Steve. All Fight Club, Office Space, Entrapment, Sixth Sense, and Three Kings.
Boy, 3 of those movies, Fight Club, Office Space, and Sixth Sense.
Classics, right?
Yeah, if it's not one of them, I'd be shocked.
Steve, we went with Three Kings. The George Clooney,
you just trying...
Mark Wahlberg, Ice Cube, Iraqi heist drama.
Oh, yeah. That was okay, right?
So the reason we went with Three Kings, Steve, is because it was notorious. So part of the fun for me during all of this was to see the list initially, like, oh, man, that was 99 or that was 98 or whatever.
It was the year I graduated high school.
Yeah.
Big year.
So there was nothing but issues on set of this movie between the director and the cast and George Clooney. This was George Clooney's first big role, to the point where him and David O. Russell almost fist fought, and there were shouting matches nonstop. That movie, though, outstanding. Award nominated.
Yeah. I remember thinking
it was fantastic.
I remember hearing it was pretty good.
Absolutely fantastic. So we did Three Kings there, Steve. 2000, What Lies Beneath, Gladiator, Memento, Castaway, The Patriot.
I don't remember The Patriot. I remember
Mel
Gladiator.
Gibson, Revolutionary War.
I remember Gladiator, Memento, and what was the next one? Castaway, of course, yeah.
Now, I know this next one is what you would have gone with. Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, vroom, vroom, yeah.
And Remember the Titans.
Oh, man, that was a great year for movies.
2000 was loaded.
2000 was great.
Absolutely loaded.
I know a lot of people look back at Remember the Titans and think like, oh, it's so Disneyfied or whatever.
Right.
I love it. I love Remember the Titans.
I think people... I think it's turned a little bit now. It's like, oh, they sang together and they healed racial issues.
Yeah.
Like, really?
I love it. I love that movie.
I haven't seen it in forever. It did not make the cut. We watched Gladiator.
Okay.
Which I absolutely an epic.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
still so good, Steve. So, oh boy, that one took a while because again, the year 2000 was absolutely loaded. 2001. So this is the last one I watched, Steve. Last week. Your options were Fast and the Furious, Ocean's 11. Black Hawk Down.
Oh, man.
Training Day. And Donnie Darko.
Boy, that's a good...
It's another good
That's a good lineup.
Right?
It's a really good lineup.
Man, it made me actually curious enough. All of these movies now going back, it's like, ooh, I'm going to go back and rewatch that now. I'm going to go back and rewatch this while I have time.
I'm assuming that the choice was obvious. You lived your life a quarter mile at a time. You went with... what the hell's the name of that stupid movie? Fast and the Furious.
Well, the problem is, Steve, is that we had both... I put it on the list, but we have both seen that within the last 10 years.
Plus, the wounds are still fresh.
Oh, my God.
Pour some out for our brother, P. Billy 4.
P. Billy 4, R.I.P. Still looking for that arm ash. The dark web. So Donnie Darko, Steve. It was what we watched last week. I remember. Now, do you remember Donnie Darko,
I don't.
Steve?
No, I remember the name. I don't.
Jake Gyllenhaal. There's not time travel, but
wow. Why was I was thinking
time warps and.
I was thinking it was like a gangster movie.
No. You're thinking of Donnie Brasco.
Donnie Brasco,
no,
of course.
Donnie Darko was a real indie movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, Maggie Gyllenhaal, had Drew Barrymore in it.
Okay.
Had Patrick Swayze in it.
Swayze.
Oh, man. Donnie Darko as a kid was earth-shattering because of... it has a real sci-fi tone to it. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking I was so cool for getting Donnie Darko back in 2001. I had a Donnie Darko t-shirt.
Oh, boy.
That I bought. I was so cool.
Because you had a Donnie Darko t-shirt?
It was me.
Let's go back in time. Was that around the same time that you had your Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt that had a battery pack?
What do you think I wore the day? What do you think I wore on Mondays to school?
And what did it say? Like, that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so?
Yeah, so it had 3 buttons on the bottom with the battery pack, and it would have each one would play a Stone Cold sound effect, either one of his sayings or the glass shattering from his theme music.
Dun, 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 dun.
God, I had so many girlfriends.
Was this around the same time you were driving the chick wagon or the chick magnet?
I didn't have the chick magnet yet, Steve. I was only 14 or 15. But Donnie Darko, I mean,
but the chick wagon was in your sights.
Yeah, and honestly, now that I think about it, Donnie Darko came out in 2001, but I wasn't like going to the movie theater at age 14. It was probably around the chick wagon time that I saw this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was me, Stone Cold shirt on Monday, seeing Donnie Darko, buying Donnie Darko shirts, showing up to the weekend get together with the boys in the chick wagon with my Donnie Darko shirt.
What a cool person.
I mean, you're telling me. Not to run through the rest of the list, Dave, because I don't want to drag it out any further.
Oh, boy, yeah, look at that.
This week we were soldiers. Next week, we're watching Old School.
Oh, nice.
We tried to mix it up, right? We didn't want it to
Old
all
School
be
is
Luke Luke Wilson, Vince Vaughn, Will Ferrell.
That's where we're going streaking.
Yep. It started that change in comedy that eventually led to, Wedding Crashers, The Hangover, to that whole era of like more R-rated comedy.
Yep. I love that movie.
You loved that movie.
I loved Old School.
I'll report back in 2 weeks if we still love that movie.
Oh, I would be shocked if you report back and say that you did not like it.
I wonder how that holds up because didn't we talk about this? How does The Hangover hold up?
Great. I still think it's...
Really?
I could watch it today and I bet I would still laugh at all the stuff I laughed at.
I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious if that holds up. 2004, we're going to watch Troy, which we are both dreading. It's nearly 3 hours.
Why'd you pick it then?
I mean, it's an epic, right? That, you remember from back then, you're like, whoa, look at these set. Like, they made the city of Troy. Like, look at all this. And also, you're 17, you're like, oh, man, that's a hot chick.
Right, yeah.
But maybe it's also like, oh, man, Brad Pitt, sword, sand, fight, badass. So, I'll be curious to see it, but we're both dreading it. It's so long, and I think it's going to be so boring. Yeah. And we're wrapping up the project with Sin City, Steve. Sin City, who had the poster up in my room of Jessica Alba as a stripper, as a 17, 18-year-old Kyle there again.
Starting to rebel.
Very cool kid.
I'm going to put up whatever posters I want, Mom.
It's been a blast from the past. So like I said, Batman sucked so bad. Yeah. But... like feeling that joy of me, like I was genuinely excited to watch Twister, just because I'm curious. Does that thing hold up? And for my money, it does. It's tremendous. If you're looking,
how are like the special effects? I
thought they were fine, right? I mean, you're not.
You said that was 95, so 25.
96. That was 96.
Man, almost 25 years ago.
You can't watch it. Like after watching The Avengers.
Right, you can't watch it through today's eyes.
Right, and you have to understand, like, yeah, I get it. We're watching 1990. But honestly, all things considered, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I was equally worried about how some of the sets and stuff would look for Gladiator because you're, replicating ancient Rome, held up beautifully. Batman Forever was a massive disappointment.
Was it?
Twister was great. Dante's Peak was okay. Okay, but no, this has been an absolute pleasure during quarantine, Steve, to be able to go back and revisit these movies that, man, shaped my love of movies.
Yeah.
The cow in Twister is iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic. Seriously, it's one of the iconic scenes.
And now it's so silly.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? We just, less than 2 years ago, there was a movie where they gathered 1 billion superheroes through time and space portals to battle a cosmic god and his army.
Yeah.
Yet 1996, oh man, a cow,
flying cow
in the air. What do you think? How did they do it? They have it on a rope? Like, it's so stupid. We've tried. It's such a difference, night and day, absolute night and day, Steve.
Now we are up against it time wise here, but we cannot finish this episode without.
It's time for
Kenny Rogers. Fact of the week.
You've got to know when to hold up. Fact of the week.
Know when to fold 'em.
Steve, we've talked about Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, by the way, these go on until Kenny Rogers is amongst us once again.
R.I.P. for now, Kenny.
Why didn't we ever do a P. Billy 4 fact of the week?
I don't know. We weren't as innovative. We weren't breaking the mold like we are now. Steve, we've talked about the diversity of Kenny Rogers and what he's done. He obviously owned the Kenny Rogers Roasters, all the chicken restaurants that most went belly up.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about his home design.
Yeah. He was a home designer, had a design studio, I think, in Atlanta. He was friends with one person.
Yeah, and that made him like, boom, now I'm a designer.
That was the fact one week. Like, he was friends with Fabio or something.
That was not all, though, Steve.
What else?
Kenny Rogers lended his name to the Gambler Chassis Company, a sprint car racing manufacturer.
Really?
Based out of Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Oh, boy.
Started by C.K. Spurlock. Now, obviously, the company got that name from Kenny Rogers' hit song, The Gambler.
The Gambler, of course, which we've sung many times.
Wouldn't you just, though, if you're in a sprint car, wouldn't you just want like the Kenny Rogers name on the car in some fashion?
Yeah, like a silhouette of him or something.
Yeah, because you're not like at the local track and they're going, oh, look at the number 6, Town and Country Farm Fleet car. That's, of course, the Gambler chassis on that car. Like, that doesn't happen.
No.
So you don't look at the Gambler, right? Picture's the Gambler. Nobody's looking at the Gambler nowadays, R.I.P.
For now.
But you don't look at the Gambler and think that's a race car guy, do you? Like a real grease monkey?
I don't know. I kind of do.
Do you?
I feel like it fits him
You're
well.
talking about a guy who played tennis supposedly on a semi-pro level.
Professional.
And who dabbled in home design. So I'll ask you one more time.
Well,
do you think of the Gambler as a guy wrenching in the garage?
See, in my opinion, the tennis-playing home interior designing Kenny Rogers is more the outlier to what I picture him. I mean, I picture him as a cowboy wrenching on a car, singing a country song. And the weird thing is that he was the tennis player and the chicken entrepreneur.
Because I think he went there and would walk around and lift his shoe up and be like, ooh, what did I just step in? Like he would have
Ew,
no
yucky.
idea. Yeah. Ooh, is that safe or
is this OSHA approved?
See, over the years though, quick follow-up, Spurlock grew the Gambler Chassis Company into one of the top chassis companies in the sprint car sport.
That was the
Kenny Rogers. Fact of the week.
You've got to know when to hold up. Fact of the week.
Know when to fold 'em. Wow. He's a race car driver, too. Pretty impressive.
What didn't this guy do? Oh,
boy,
man.
So many new polls up at Steve and Kyle, Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, yeah. What do I need to post on Facebook? One last one?
I already got it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Do you remember... what was it? Do you remember what the Twister machine was called in Twister?
Right.
16 votes so far.
We have got a lot to get to next week. We already have the A-bit planned out.
Oh, my good Lord. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to talk about what we were talking about right before we started recording.
We also have the long-awaited return, Steve, next week of Kyle's Gripe of the Week.
Kyle's Gripe of the Week.
Next week with a newly formed intro that hasn't been played yet.
Who knows? We may go into Zach.
You know what? It makes sense, though. If we're going back on the deck for deck chat, for Deckcast, Kyle's Gripe of the Week should return so all your neighbors can hear it again.
Oh, perfect. Hi.
You're welcome, Zach.
Can't wait. Does your Gripe of the Week have to do with my neighbors?
I can make it so.
That would just be great. All right. Well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Stephen Kyle. You'll be able to see the video of Kyle attempting to walk the balance beam to leave here later. Leave here once the podcast is over. Anything else?
I think that's it. Stephen Kyle golf outing. You've all ruined it.
Coming soon? Talk to you later.